All right, let's jump into another deep dive. Today we're looking at Protean eGov Technologies Ltd.
Oh, interesting.
They're kind of a big deal in India's digital world.
Yeah, I've heard of them.
They're building the systems that millions of people are using every single day.
Wow.
PAN cards, Aadhaar, all those e-signatures.
Yeah, I've definitely used their stuff.
We've got a whole bunch of new info on their Q2 FY25 performance.
Oh, cool. Where from?
Straight from the source.
Yep.
Their official press release,
Nice.
a big detailed investor presentation,
Okay.
and even their regulatory filings to the Bombay Stock Exchange.
Wow, so we've got the full picture then.
We're going to decode the numbers, explore all their strategic moves,
Okay.
see what it all means for anyone interested in this whole future of digital India thing.
Sounds good. Let's do it.
This Protean company, they're not just riding this digital wave.
Right.
They're actually shaping it.
Yeah.
They're so deeply embedded in India's digital public infrastructure.
Nice.
They're building that trust and reliability into these systems that are becoming like the backbone of the economy.
Yeah, that's essential. Right.
Exactly.
For everything to run smoothly.
Yeah. And their latest results, they paint kind of an interesting picture.
Oh.
The press release is talking about, an impressive quarter
Mm-hmm.
with a 12% jump in revenue compared to the last quarter.
Not bad.
Yeah. Reaching a cool INR 220 crore.
Oh.
But there's a twist.
Oh.
What's that?
It's actually a 7% dip compared to the same quarter last year.
Huh. So how do we make sense of that?
Yeah, so how do we square that circle, right?
It seems a bit contradictory.
Yeah, so think of it like this. Last year, Protean was in the middle of this record-breaking sprint, right?
Yeah.
Thanks to that massive push to link Aadhaar and PAN card.
That makes sense.
They were a key player in that whole thing. And all those deadlines, they just fueled some crazy high volumes. This year, they're settling into a more sustainable pace.
So it's more like a tough comparison.
Yeah.
Rather than a sign of weakness.
I think so, yeah.
Exactly.
It's all relative, right?
It is. It is.
Though the circumstance.
So even with the revenue dip,
Yeah.
they managed to boost their operating profit by a solid 21%
Okay.
compared to the previous quarter.
Not bad at all.
That translates to a 14.4% operating margin,
Oh, wow.
which just shows they're running a tight ship.
Yeah.
They're squeezing more value out of every rupee.
Yeah, it's efficient.
They're making more from what they're selling, even if they're selling a bit less.
Right.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Now let's zoom in on some of their different business segments.
Oh,
They've got their hands in everything.
that's impressive.
Tax services, pension services, identity solutions, and even some intriguing new ventures.
Yeah, I'm curious about those.
Where should we even start?
I'd say let's kick things off with the star performer,
Okay.
tax services.
Okay, tax services.
This segment had a huge surge in revenue, like 22%
Compared
to the last quarter.
Oh, wow, 22%.
Yeah, they're attributing this to the rollout of those new government schemes after the election.
Ah, right.
And remember, Protean, they're super entrenched in India's tax system, especially that PAN card business.
Speaking of PAN cards,
Yeah.
Protean, they now command a hefty 55.4% market share in this space.
Wow, that's huge.
That's up from 51.6% in the same quarter last year.
So they're growing their dominance.
Clearly the big fish in this pond.
Yeah, definitely.
Here's a fun fact.
Okay.
For the first time ever,
Mm-hmm.
online PAN card issuance overtook offline issuance.
Really? Wow.
This quarter, 51% of all PAN cards issued by Protean were done digitally.
That's a big shift.
It's a huge indicator of how quickly India is embracing, the digital life.
Yeah, no kidding.
Okay, let's move on.
Sure.
Pension services.
Right?
Protean's a big player here too, right?
Yeah, that's right.
They're the central record-keeping agency for India's national pension system and the Atal Pension Yojana.
NPS and APY, right.
Yeah, not exactly the coolest names.
No.
But these are essential programs.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
For millions of Indians.
For sure, a secure retirement.
Exactly. It's the bedrock of that.
Yeah, that's important.
This segment is quietly chugging along with a steady 7% growth in revenue compared to the previous quarter.
Okay.
Might seem modest next to that whole tax services surge,
Yeah.
but it's significant,
Right.
especially considering this type of business.
Long term.
They added a whopping 3.6 million new subscribers this quarter.
Wow. That's That's a lot.
A 40% jump
That's huge.
from the previous quarter.
That's a lot of new people planning for retirement.
And they're not just relying on that organic growth.
Okay.
Over 826 companies hopped on board with Protean's pension services
This quarter.
this quarter.
That's amazing.
It's like they're quietly building this massive essential safety net for all of India's future retirees.
They really are. It's impressive.
And they're not just about scale.
Oh.
They're about innovation, too.
Tell me more.
They launched a new pension scheme,
Oh. What's it called?
NPS Vatsalya,
Interesting.
specifically for minors.
Oh, wow. That's forward thinking.
Talk about forward thinking.
Yeah, getting them started early.
They've already opened over 25,000 accounts
Wow.
under this scheme.
That's amazing.
They also rolled out a brand new mobile app for NPS and APY,
Oh, cool.
making it super easy for people to manage their pensions on the go.
So convenient.
Now let's talk about the one segment that took a bit of a dip.
Okay.
Identity services.
All right.
Revenue here declined by 14% compared to the last quarter.
Okay.
As we discussed, part of that is because of the Aadhaar PAN linkage frenzy cooling down.
Right.
But they're also facing some heat from
Huh?
competitors
Okay.
in the basic e-signature market.
That makes sense. There's always competition.
What's interesting is how Protean is responding.
Yeah. How are they handling it?
They're not just sitting back, letting the competition squeeze them out.
Good.
They're making a strategic shift up the value chain.
So instead of just offering those basic services, they're moving towards more specialized, higher margin products.
Exactly. They're doubling down on offerings like eSign Pro,
Oh, okay.
a comprehensive suite of digital documentation tools.
Interesting.
And then there's their Rise with Protean platform,
I've heard of that.
which is all about connecting businesses with the data they need for things like digital onboarding and lending.
So important these days.
It's a smart play,
Yeah.
building on their core strengths
Oh.
in identity,
Right.
but also recognizing the need for more sophisticated solutions.
Definitely.
Like they're saying, hey, we're not just the ID guys anymore.
Mm-hmm.
We're the digital trust experts.
I like it.
Now let's talk about those new businesses they keep mentioning.
All right.
The press release highlights their involvement in open digital ecosystems.
Udis. Yeah.
I've heard whispers about these things.
Me too.
Can you break it down for our listener?
Sure. Imagine these interconnected digital spaces where different players can come together and offer services seamlessly.
Interesting.
A prime example is the Open Network for Digital Commerce, ONDC.
ONDC.
It's like this decentralized marketplace really shaking up the e-commerce scene.
I can see that.
And guess who's playing a big role in building the infrastructure?
Who?
Our friends at Protean.
No way, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
They're also dipping their toes into the world of open finance.
Open finance.
Yeah, it's all about making financial services more accessible.
Okay.
They've launched an open finance stack within ONDC, making it easier for people to discover and access loans, insurance, and mutual funds.
Wow, that's really cool.
They're also tapping into that account aggregator framework,
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that.
which allows users to securely share their financial data with different providers. It's a game changer for financial inclusion.
And get this, they're partnering with companies like Pay Nearby,
Oh, yeah.
which has this massive network of over 200,000 retail touchpoints across India.
Wow.
They're literally bringing financial services to everyone's doorstep.
That's amazing.
The investor presentation, it highlights how the success of ONDC
Yeah.
in areas like e-commerce and mobility
Mm-hmm.
is now being applied to financial services.
That makes a lot of sense.
They're creating a more inclusive and accessible financial system.
For sure.
And Protean is right at the heart of it.
Yeah, they're really making a difference.
But it's not all about profits, right?
Right.
They also got this interesting initiative,
Oh, yeah. What's that?
Protean Life.
Protean Life. Okay.
What's the story there?
This is where things get interesting, from a social impact perspective.
Okay.
Protean Life is a platform
Excellent.
designed to connect those seeking funding,
For.
social and environmental initiatives
Gotcha.
with potential providers.
I like that.
Corporations, foundations, individuals, anyone who wants to make a difference.
Oh, that's great.
It actually made a splash at the Global FinTech Fest 2024, where it was hailed as a potential game changer.
It's a really good idea.
The idea is to bring more transparency and efficiency to the world of philanthropy and corporate social responsibility,
Yeah.
making it easier for everyone to contribute to positive change.
I love it.
It says a lot about Protean's commitment
It does.
to aligning their business goals
Yeah.
with broader societal needs.
Absolutely.
They're leveraging all their tech expertise to create a platform that could really revolutionize how social impact initiatives are funded and managed.
Yeah, that's powerful stuff.
It is.
Okay, so we've got a good handle on all the diverse businesses that Protean is involved in.
Yeah, very diverse.
Now let's talk money.
All right, let's get into it.
What's the financial health of the company looking like?
Well, from what I see, they're sitting pretty rock-solid balance sheet.
Right.
Over INR 750 crore in cash and marketable securities.
Wow, that's a lot.
And here's the kicker.
Okay.
Zero debt.
Zero debt.
Zero debt.
In this day and age.
I know, right?
That's practically unheard of,
It's impressive.
especially for a company that's growing as rapidly as Protean.
Definitely.
That tells me they're managing their finances responsibly
Yeah.
and building a sustainable business for the long haul.
Exactly. They're thinking long-term.
And if we take a peek at the CEO's outlook,
Okay.
it's full of optimism.
Good.
Suresh Sethi, he's emphasizing Protean's commitment to aligning with the Digital India vision.
They're all in on that.
They're not just keeping pace with digitization.
Mm-hmm.
They're actively shaping it.
It's great to see a company so involved.
They're not just content with being like a tech company.
Right.
They want to be a trusted partner
Yeah.
in India's digital journey.
Makes sense.
And that trust, it's built on the foundation of all their work with India's digital identity system.
Yeah, that's huge.
That's a pretty big responsibility.
It is.
The investor presentation, it really hammers home that point about trust and reliability.
It does.
They're investing so much in security, compliance, and building systems that can actually handle like the sheer scale of India's population
Right.
and its rapidly evolving digital landscape.
It's a big job.
Every time you use your digital ID
Yeah.
or make a payment online,
Uh-huh.
companies like Protean, they're working behind the scenes
The unsung hero.
to make it happen.
Yeah.
It's mind-boggling
It is.
when you think about the sheer volume of transactions they're handling every single day.
Every day, so much data.
But it's not just about the domestic market, is it?
No, you're right.
I noticed in the investor presentation,
Yeah.
it mentions their plans for international expansion.
That's ambitious.
Are they like taking the digital India model global?
That's exactly what they're doing.
Ah.
They're looking at regions like Southeast Asia,
Okay.
the Middle East, and Africa,
Okay.
places with big populations.
Yeah.
And a growing need for like really robust digital systems.
They need those foundations.
Exactly.
What's their strategy?
They want to offer this suite of digital public goods,
Digital public goods.
including those foundational ID systems,
Like what?
eKYC, eSign, and even open source tax and pension platforms.
It's like they're exporting the building blocks of a digital society.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
It's pretty amazing to see an Indian company taking such a leadership role on the global stage.
It is. They're really stepping up.
Let's zoom back in on India for a sec.
Sure.
I'm curious about how Protean is navigating this like constantly changing landscape.
Yeah, it's a fast-moving world.
Things are moving so fast in the tech world, it's hard to keep up.
It is.
How do they stay ahead of the curve?
I think it comes down to a couple of things.
Okay.
First, their deep understanding of the Indian market.
Right.
They know the people, they know the challenges. Second, their close collaboration with the government.
Okay, so they're in the loop.
Exactly. They're constantly monitoring trends,
Yeah.
anticipating those regulatory changes, and adapting their offerings accordingly.
So they're not just reacting,
Yeah.
they're proactive.
Exactly.
Can you give us an example?
Sure. Take the account aggregator framework.
Okay.
This is relatively new in India, and Protean was one of the first companies to actually get licensed as an account aggregator.
Really?
They saw the potential of this system
Yeah.
to revolutionize how financial data is shared and used,
Interesting.
and they jumped right in.
Smart. So they're not just reacting to changes.
Yep.
They're actively shaping the future
They are.
of India's digital ecosystem.
It's impressive.
That's one of the things that makes them such an intriguing company to watch.
For sure.
They're not just riding the wave of this whole digital transformation thing.
Right.
They're helping to create it.
Yeah, they're pioneers.
Okay, let's wrap things up
Yeah, right.
by distilling some key takeaways
Okay.
for our listener.
Oh, good.
What are the big things they should remember about Protean eGov Technologies after this deep dive?
Well, first and foremost, they're a market leader in a
Right.
space that's just exploding with growth.
India's digital transformation is huge,
It's massive, and it's not slowing down.
and Protean is perfectly positioned
Absolutely.
to capitalize on that growth
Yeah.
across multiple segments.
They've got their hands in everything.
We've got a proven track record of building and managing these large-scale mission-critical systems.
Right. It's not just about trendy apps.
These are the foundations of a digital society,
The backbone, yeah.
and they're doing it with a rock-solid balance sheet
Very important.
and a commitment to responsible growth.
We're playing the long game.
That financial strength,
Yeah,
it should definitely give investors confidence.
for sure.
They're not just chasing those short-term profits.
Right.
They're building a sustainable business for the long haul.
Exactly.
And they're not afraid to innovate and adapt.
Are always evolving?
They're constantly looking for new ways to leverage their expertise
Yeah.
and stay ahead of the curve.
Whether it's through open finance,
Yeah,
social impact platforms, or expanding into new markets.
they're not standing still.
Nope.
They're also deeply embedded in the policy landscape, which gives them a unique advantage
For sure.
in understanding and navigating that, ever-changing regulatory environment.
It's a complex landscape,
It is.
but they seem to know how to navigate it.
That's a lot to digest.
It is.
But hopefully our listener has a much clearer picture of Protean eGov Technologies now.
Yeah, they should.
They're a fascinating company at the heart of India's digital revolution.
They really are.
It'll be exciting to see how they continue to evolve in the years to come.
I agree.
But of course, no investment is without its risks.
Right. That's always the case.
It's a dynamic landscape.
It is.
And Protean faces competition, not just from established players,
Yeah.
but also from those agile startups that are always popping up.
They got to stay on their toes.
So what potential challenges should our listener keep an eye on?
Well, regulation is a big one.
Okay, regulation.
India's government is really active in shaping the digital economy.
Yeah.
And new policies that could impact Protean's business.
In unpredictable ways.
Exactly. It's hard to know what's coming next.
Data privacy is another key concern.
Of course, with all that data.
As Protean handles increasingly sensitive data,
Right.
they need to make sure they have robust security measures in place
Yeah.
and comply with those evolving regulations.
To maintain that public trust.
It's essential.
Absolutely. Trust is everything.
And let's not forget about those macroeconomic factors.
Oh, yeah, the big picture stuff.
Inflation, interest rates, currency fluctuations.
Right.
All these things can impact Protean's profitability and growth prospects.
Definitely. It's all connected.
Plus, there's always the risk of those unforeseen events.
The unknown unknowns.
Cyber attacks,
Mhm.
geopolitical instability, things that are impossible to predict.
That's the nature of the beast.
It sounds like there are some serious potential headwinds,
There are.
even for a company as strong as Protean.
Yeah, you got to factor that in.
So what does all this mean for our listener?
The big question, right?
Is Protean eGov Technologies a company worth investing in?
That's the million-dollar question.
It is. It is.
And honestly, that's a question only you can answer
Right.
based on your own research, your own risk tolerance,
Yeah.
and your investment goals.
So true.
But hopefully, this deep dive has given you the info and insights you need.
To make an informed decision.
Exactly.
We've seen that Protean, they're a financially strong company
Definitely.
with a dominant market position
Mm-hmm.
in several key segments.
They're well positioned.
They're aligned with the Indian government's vision for a digital future.
Yeah, they're on the same page.
They're innovating in areas like open finance and social impact.
It's impressive.
And they're even taking their expertise to the global stage.
They're going global.
But, as we've discussed,
Yeah,
there are also potential challenges.
there are.
Competition,
Mm-hmm.
regulatory changes, macroeconomic risks,
Those are the big ones.
things that could impact their performance going forward.
You got to be aware of those.
It really comes down to how you weigh those opportunities
Yeah.
and risks.
It's a balancing act.
If you're looking for a company that's at the forefront
Mm,
of India's digital transformation,
right.
a company that's building that essential infrastructure
Yeah.
and shaping the future of 1 billion plus people,
That's huge.
then Protean eGov Technologies,
Yeah,
definitely worth a closer look.
I'd agree with that.
And remember,
Yeah.
knowledge is power.
Always.
Don't just take our word for it.
Right.
Do your own research,
Please.
explore the sources we've mentioned,
There's a lot out there.
and come to your own conclusions.
That's this way.
That's what the deep dive is all about.
Yeah.
Giving you the tools to understand complex topics
Mhm.
and make informed decisions.
That's the goal.
Now, If you want to go even deeper,
Oh, yeah.
you can find a ton of information on Protean's official website.
Okay.
That's www.proteantech.in.
I'll check it out.
And for a really deep dive into the numbers,
Right.
check out the full investor presentation of financial reports
Where can I find those?
on the Bombay Stock Exchange website.
Okay, great.
Trust me, it's worth a look.
I'll take your word for it.
One final thought to leave you with.
Okay, shoot.
Think about the potential impact of artificial intelligence
AI. Yeah.
and blockchain
Interesting.
on digital identity.
I see where you're going with this.
Could this be the next frontier for Protean?
That's a good question.
How will they leverage these emerging technologies to further solidify their position in the market?
Yeah, they're going to have to stay ahead of the curve.
It's a question worth pondering.
Definitely something to think about.
The world of digital technology, it's constantly evolving.
It never stops.
And companies like Protean, they're leading the charge.
The pioneers.
So until next time,
Yeah.
keep learning,
Yes.
keep exploring,
For sure.
keep diving deep.
See you next time.